wronged. I won't be insulted. I won't be laid a hand on. I don't do these things to other people. I require the same from them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Rocket Radio Show. This is your host, Rocket, coming at you live from the Broken Beaver Bunker Studios, located below the radiation belt.
Welcome and thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, studio audience. Thank you very much, virtual audience. This is your host, Rocket, and like I said, I am coming to you live from the Broken Beaver Bunker Studios. Holy jumping Jehoshaphat! Isn't the world boiling like a cauldron? Boiling like a cauldron of just craziness going on. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen, everybody. Ask you some questions. Why do they build underground bunkers with high-speed trains to the bunker, right? When we all know that the radiation left over from such an attack that would require bomb shelters is a life-changing ending thing. It just can't happen. A nuclear exchange, the World War III prophecy, the fear dangling over our heads all this time. If it happens, we're all dead. How does that help the New World Order guys hiding in the bunkers? How about the guys hiding in the submarines? They'll survive. Guys in the submarines. What's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know if you've been watching the news. But recently, we launched the largest rocket into space ever. And it had classified payload. Now, we were told that it had a satellite that could read a license plate. Okay, that's 45-year-old technology. The fact is, we don't know what they launched. But I can tell you what they launched. I know for a fact what they launched. It's the final stage of the Thor weapon, and that is the telephone pole-sized tungsten kinetic energy projectiles that goes in a cartridge similar to a six-shooter floating in space. They launch these fucking telephone poles at hypersonic speeds, and they impact the Earth. There's nothing you can do. There's no iron shield to protect from it. And who is going to get hit? Oh, I forgot to mention. Once these things blow up, they cause a nuclear bomb-like reaction with no radiation. It's the perfect Agenda 21 weapon. It's going to be the final blow. Let me tell you what's going to happen. First of all, we're buddies with Russia. We're not going to threaten each other. It's all puppetry and theater. We are buddies. In fact, they are an intimate part of the Thor program. China, on the other hand, are kind of the bad guys. But they're going to cooperate because they got too many people. So here's what's going to happen. These cartridges hold between 8 and 10 of these projectiles, and they're interchangeable. You can change them out and reload them. But let's just say they had 6 of them. One place for sure they're going to drop one is on the Temple Mount. People are just with bated breath at the possibility of building that fucking third temple. And you need to do your own research. But they're actually preparing for that. They're actually cutting the stones to build the temple. They have rabbis practicing doing blood sacrifices that'll be appropriate for inside the holiest of holies. And eventually, the Antichrist is supposed to go in there and interrupt, sit on the throne and fool everybody, declare himself God, and a whole bunch of other religious fairy tale sounding possibilities. Although, it sure looks like it's coming true. Now, China will allow these telephone poles, several, to hit places in China where they need to eliminate some of the population. Places that are doing good, like Hong Kong, will be spared. London will be spared. America, not so good. Not so good. I'm thinking the West Coast ain't looking so good. Japan, probably destroyed completely. It's a toxic wasteland. They're better off burying that. But that's just to give you an idea what's coming. You're hearing a lot of saber rattling. And the theater of the bizarre. What a dark and evil world this is. You know, we're worried about 300 people being gassed when we weren't worried about American citizens in Waco being gassed. We're worried about intervening militarily while the North Koreans threaten us with nuclear weapons, which they may or not have. But meanwhile, they got a gulag system that would put the Nazis in World War II Germany to shame. And then the increased barbarism. And in America, we call it thug culture. Animals. We're raising animals. Dumbed down, fluoridated, brainwashed, entertaining consumers. Sheep led to the slaughter, living comfortable lives while people are being tortured, beaten, whipped, abused, hung, waterboarded, put in little cages. It's happening everywhere. There's beheadings, whippings. People are in slave labor camps right now. People are being sold into slavery and prostitution, ghettos, and slums like you can't imagine. Tent cities, hobo towns. The unemployed and the loitering, and the youth, the lost generation, and the wars, and the all-volunteer army, cannon fodder, as our puppets, the confused and feckless that are supposedly in charge. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's the Rockefellers, you guys. It's the rich people. They finance this shit. Everybody's a pawn. Everybody's worried about what Obama said or he didn't say, or what happened or didn't happen. Nobody can talk about the global picture, the globalism. It's all globalism. It's oil. It's rich people. It's power. It's pipelines. It's competing pipelines. You know, Russia can't back out of there. They got a seaport in there. So they'll cut a deal. They're our buddies. It's political drama. Now, unfortunately, these super rich guys that are causing this primarily are Jewish. And they're all into the Temple Mount deal.
It's madness and mayhem. I'm not sure what the answer is, but what you're seeing is the fulfillment of some kind of apocalypse. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The goal of Agenda 21 is rolling forward. If you want to know what it's going to be like, go look at some videos about North Korea's gulag system. No joke. Look at the barbarism. Go on YouTube and look up Syrian torture. Look it up. Look at what's going on there. Look at the Chinese and what they're doing to the Falun Gong people. Go look at all the dumpsters full of the Afrocentric American Negroes, little infants. Dumpsters full of them. It would put the cattle cars to shame if you put all of those fetuses into a train. It would stretch from like here to the moon. Meanwhile, the banksters destroy our country on purpose. All this weird stuff going on. Nobody's trying to sort out this mess. You've got people still arguing about being a Democrat or a Republican. They don't get it. You got people that are awake that are talking about reptilians. Meanwhile, planet Nibiru, whatever, Planet X, speeds towards the Earth. And of course, the sun is going through an 11-year cycle. And of course, that fits with Revelations and the book of Daniel. It's hard to have hope. I guess it's just better to stand on your own 2 feet and try to be self-sufficient. Try to set certain times of the day aside where you'll think about these kind of things. And then the rest of the time, put it out of your mind. Try to enjoy your spouse and love your children. Try to spend some quiet time, you guys. You're not taking care of yourself. You need to eat better food and get some exercise. Maybe slow down on the drinking and the smoking a little bit. Probably cut down on some of that weed, bro. If you're starting to get desperate, don't break any laws, man. You don't want to go to jail. But try to stay positive. This has been Rocket from the Rocket Radio. I hope you guys enjoy my last transmissions that I'm making these days. I know they've been far and few between. If you're new to my show, I have tons of archive stuff. If you come to check my channel to see if I put up a new video or a new MP3, go back in the record, man. Go back and listen to some of the shows that don't have a lot of views on them. They're good. They're just as good as one I'm going to make for you tomorrow.
Rocket Radio Show special broadcast.
Warning, the Rocket Radio Show may cause sudden urges to urinate, blindness, erectile dysfunction, or a sudden urge to jump up and down and wet your pants.
Public service announcement, the views and events of and are not necessarily the views of anyone. However, the events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly.
We are the only country in the world that can stop that. The Israelis, in my opinion, do not have the capability of stopping it. They can delay it. But at the end of the day, if we don't get it done the way the administration is working on it now, which I totally agree with, then we ought to take them out.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, we're working hard.
We're working hard.
I said at the end of the day. The end of the day may be next year. It will be next year.
Yeah, no,
I'm waiting.
Look. I think the president has been very, very clear on this.
A new world order.
He has always said all options are on the table, and he means it.
They're having troubles now. The sanctions are not complete yet. We want to squeeze them down more, but they're having an effect.
And then, frankly, there are those who are saying the best thing that could happen to us is be attacked by somebody. Just bring it on, because that would unify us. It would legitimize the regime. An argument is made constantly on the hard line side of the government that, we're not going to give anything up. And in fact, we're going to provoke an attack, because then we will be in power for as long as anyone can imagine.
And that's the reason I say, if anybody's going to do it, we ought to do it.
Now that I've gotten older and I have time to reflect on things, I'll start to think about America and what it means to me. In the last decade or so, I've heard people I've talked to from different places around the world. They have a tendency to just trash America. We don't look too good right now. But I think there was a time back in the day that America stood for something. We were the good guys. We wore the white hat. Well, it's starting to look like America's in decay. Looks like we're probably going to crash completely. That's too bad, because I'm wondering what's going to be left behind. Let's just say that we crash and nobody else crashes. So what? Everybody's going to be Chinese now? Because that's what's going to happen, you guys. No problem. Hey, look, it's natural. Just let it happen. I just wanted to let you know that I'm really pissed off. I'm pissed off. I'm super pissed off. I want to let you know I'm pissed off that you walked by while my daughter, who was having trouble, yeah, she's hooked on crack. You just walked by and let her pimp beat the crap out of her. Didn't say nothing, didn't do nothing. After all, she's weak. We wouldn't want her to have little weak babies. And I want to let you know I'm pissed off that y'all didn't say nothing when that Sandusky feller was molesting those little kids. That's cool. You got to keep your job. Everybody's got to keep their reputation. Well, just mum's the word, because the guy's powerful, so we don't want to. Those little kids are all grown up to be men, all screwed up. But that's cool. They were weak. They were from broken homes, the perfect victim. So since they were from broken homes, they probably had bad DNA. Wouldn't want them reproducing. Any of them bad DNA people from broken homes being molested by some fucking asshole. So I just want to let you know I'm pissed at you guys that you didn't say nothing when my son was getting molested. I'm pissed at you guys that you didn't say nothing when my son or my daughter was being bullied at school. I'm pissed off that he had to kill himself because he was so ashamed that he was gay. Now, I don't cotton much to gay guys. You know how I feel about that. But to each his own. And feeling so much shame. Now, I don't think we should be screaming it from the rooftops. I'm an American traditional family guy. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off y'all throwing your trash away all the time. Now, I throw away quite a bit of trash, too, and I know that's bad for the environment, especially those plastics. So I just burn it all. That way it don't cause no problems. Just burn it all up. It all goes up in smoke, all the chemicals and whatnot that makes them things, but that's cool. Now it's safe. I'm pissed off
that y'all making nuclear reactors all over the place. Hell, those things ain't safe. It's a goddamn bomb in concrete. It's just dumb. Well, we need the energy. Well, that was a dumb idea. Now these dumb guys left all these dumb radioactive crap all over the place. If y'all think Fukushima's over, you're dead wrong. No, it's cool. It's natural. It's natural that we breathe in a little fleck of radiating dust and get in your lung and give you cancer. That's natural. Hell, it's just natural. And the good thing is that's a culling mechanism. That'll get rid of all the genetically predisposed weak people. You know, only weak people breathe in a radioactive speck. But I'm pissed off. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about the 15,000 nuclear warhead gorilla sitting in the room. It's too scary, and we're afraid, and we know that we ain't got much control over that. Now I can't stop talking like a hillbilly. So we don't have any control over that. So everybody feels helpless, so they don't want to talk about it. No problem. No problem. But as far as the bankers go, let's talk about Obama. You know, we're in a tough spot here, people. I think that we got I think there's a real possibility that the Obama team are probably circling the wagons and starting to realize that getting Obama reelected is just pointless. Now, this has a lot of implications because I don't think that he's done. I think that his political agenda has not been seen through, and that with the second term, he could get all the things done that he wanted. Now, I'm hearing a lot about Hillary Clinton. Maybe she could take over and do that for him too, but I'm not so sure. I think that Obama's one of them types that probably kill himself if he don't get reelected. Now, this makes me think, in my hillbilly way, we're heading for a false flag. I figure October, probably around October or so, because they're going to realize they can't hold the elections. And then we're ready. We got the Department of Homeland Defense. We're almost broke. We're coming up against the debt ceiling. The EU's about to break apart. You know, all that stuff's interrelated. And then you hear the New World Order. It's all on purpose. They're supposed to create chaos and stress. We want to convert the population from a reforming population to a revolution population. Somehow, they got to introduce the new world currency and get everybody to jump on board. And how about this one? You talk about some chaos. Somehow, these guys want to make a one-world religion. Wow, good luck. Now, and you know, when these guys get in there and try to make societies turn from being a reform society to a revolution society, they don't always come in with big tanks and guns. Sometimes they come in with just real smart guys. And what they do is, in the old days, they used to just write a book. Now, today, they just make YouTubes. But essentially what happened was, these guys realized that you can't just come in beating everybody over the head to change their ideals or their ideology. What you got to do is you got to work on it slow. Now, there's paranoid conspiracy guys out there that are worried about the Communist Manifesto, and the fact is, it seems to be playing out tit for tat on what's really going on. But, you know, feminize the country, destroy the country's family structure. That'd be good. Promote homosexual lifestyle. Even though when you take over, that's not gonna be a freedom you're gonna get. But what we're trying to do is infiltrate. It's real sneaky, real scary. You know, normal people just go to work and come home and they're with their families and they take vacations and they just live their lives. But, you know, there are some people out there, they got hobbies, you know, surrogate activities. And one of those things, and I'm shocked by it, is the amount of organizations. You know, you got a lot of organizations, and sometimes they like to call them symposiums, just to kind of veil what they're doing in there. But these are people that are taking their time to get showered and dressed and ready and get in the car or the carriage and hop on down to the local meeting. And in those meetings, they vote on things and they take notes. Sometimes they pay dues and collect money. Sometimes they, you know, infiltrate a country from underneath. And the next thing you know, you got a global conversation about how bad America is. You know, everybody's been rushing here for the last 100 years or so, but it's so bad. Well, I wouldn't want that removed out of the equation. If I was the last man on the planet, I'd just as soon have an ugly gal than no gal. Now, if you're listening to this video from another country and you're a foreigner to the United States, you ain't no United States patriot like myself. You know, I just want to tell you something, that the average guy on the street, the average person filling up his gas tank right now, they don't have any animosity towards you. Everybody thinks we hate the Muslims. We don't hate the Muslims. We're scared of the Muslims. Hell, we've been trying to be nice to them. Now, as far as this global conquest goes in the American empire, I think that's a machine that's gotten itself out of control. Now, yes, the American people do vote on who's in charge, but, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff about it. Like, example, back in the day, when Bush and Kerry were both running for president, these guys were both members of the Skull and Bones Society. Now, I don't really care that much, but do you know what the statistical odds of two men out of millions running for the presidency would both belong to a secret society? Pretty weird. Now, it's just a college fraternity. It doesn't mean much, although they do reenactments of murders and drinking blood and all that kind of stuff. No problem. But still, the statistical odds of two men, that's our two choices. Now, throw in the fact that we've had grandpa, father, and grandson basically having a real huge influence on our country, and I'm talking about the Bushes. Now, it just seems like there's some element of control. I wonder if this is just crazy and whacked chaos. I don't think so. I think there is some plan to it. So if in fact Obama's agenda is not completed, there's a very strong likelihood that we'll have a martial law situation, some kind of false flag, and it'll throw everything into chaos, and then they'll be able to cancel the elections, and then they'll be able to exercise all them new executive powers, and everyone's going to stand around with their mouth open, shocked at what's going on, and they're going to be terrified. They've been injecting doom and gloom, and ignoring it ain't going to make it go away. You know, the bad thing is, it can't keep going. It's based on an infinite paradigm of growth. You know, make it, use it, break it, throw it away, get another one. And so when they say the GDP, we're trying to find out how many products that we're making, using, destroying, and throwing away. That's really what it's a gauge of. It's not talking about the people's nobility or their creativity or their potential. No, what really gauges a country and its greatness is how many things that it can make, use, break, and throw away. It's just this huge cycle. So these guys at the top, including the Congress and the Senate, they all know this. You know, Henry Ford said that if people understood how banking really worked, that there would be, you know, a revolution by the next day. Now, Henry Ford was no idiot, so let's just think about what he said. What's he saying? He's saying that if people knew some information, they'd be so indignant, they would be so upset, they would be out in the street the very next day with pitchforks. Now, Henry Ford said this a long time ago, and I think that things have only gotten worse. So yeah, I think we should talk about certain things that don't get talked about, you know? And I just want to let you know, all my YouTube listeners, I respect your time. I know you don't have a lot of time. So one of the things I do is I try to boil stuff down for you. Now, the other thing is I try to pack a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time, and I got all these technical things that there are limitations. What I can say, what I can show, how I say it. So I am kind of limited. But I want to make a menu of ideas so that when you get home from work and you settle in and you start doing your emails, you can just click on my channel. You don't even have to watch the screen. There's some ways I wish you didn't have a screen, because then you'd have to use your mind and have to think about stuff. Maybe use your imagination, kind of like reading a book, rather than having somebody blather away to you on a video. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I respect your time.